Welcome into another edition of ROAR'n With the Bengals on ISUBengals.com. Brandon Baney joined by ISU head football coach Charlie Ragle. We're going audio only today, true podcast.
I love it. Can't see my scowl, my angry face after the abysmal game in Holt Arena. So probably better off with some audio only.
That's a little tongue-in-cheek because there were certainly things you saw that you didn't like, but there was a lot of good stuff.
Oh, absolutely there was. But, at the end of the day, you play to win the game. That's the standard is to win, and we have to win games like that. And so it's tough, especially with so many self-inflicted wounds. I think that's more my frustration is that we hadn't done that against two better opponents. And again, no disrespect to Central Arkansas, but UNLV and San Diego State are better. And we just did so many, had so many self-inflicted penalties. Lost a turnover battle. We were -2 in the turnovers. We give up 3. They only had 1. Sacks. You just can't do those things and expect to win football. Not good football. That's just not good football by us.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the penalties because it seemed like there was a lot. Some are like, if you're getting beat on a play and you hold your guy to prevent the touchdown, okay, that's a penalty we can all accept. But what you're talking about is those things that, should be cleaned up by this point of the year, right?
Yeah, you're in game 3, and you go down. It's 2nd and 6. We run the ball. It's going to be 3rd and 5 from the 5. This is our first score. But on that 2nd down, we get a face mask, personal foul. So then it goes back to 2nd down and 23 from the 23, and then we complete like a 17-yard pass. We're right back down there. But I told the guys, what if we had completed that pass on 3rd down, before we didn't have the penalty? The next play was that completion. It would have been a touchdown. 7-0 instead of, we have to settle for a field goal, 3-0. We drive right back down. We stop them on defense, 3 and out. We drive right back down the field. We're on the 19-yard line, and what do? We set the back on the wrong side, and instead of setting him to the field where he'll expand with the swing route, the Mike will expand with the running back on the swing route, and he'll open up the middle of the field. He puts him into the boundary, so now the Mike can drop vertical a la Tampa 2, and who picks off the ball in the end zone? The Mike. And that's self-inflicted. That's not, a guy had to make a play, but, he shouldn't even have been in there. And so, you have a chance to go up 14-0. That's a 0-2 football team across that we were playing against. They were trying to find themselves as well. And, and then they went right back down and scored, and all of a sudden it's 7-3. The momentum has shifted dramatically to them, and, we just seem to never recover from there.
So you're talking about placing the running back on the right side of the formation. Is that coaching staff? Is that quarterback as he sees the defense?
No, it's called, and so Hunter just put him on the wrong spot, on the wrong side, and so you just, some growing pains.
Definitely. I think the other area Bengal fans wanted to talk about was the offensive line. There was a couple of sacks, some pressures. A couple of times Central Arkansas rushed 3 guys and got there. Is that miscommunication between the line? Is it guys losing their one-on-one battles, combination?
Yeah, no, we knew they had a good D-line. We knew that. We had talked about that. We'd coached it all week. When you're rushing 3 and to give up a sack, that's inexcusable, and we back-to-back right before the half, we give up back-to-back sacks against 3-man pressures. That's just not good football, and they're stout, physical defensive linemen, and they collapsed their pocket. They whooped us, and so you have to come back off of that and ask why, and then how can I get better? And that's what I told them this morning. You can't take it personal. Like, we're all in this together. At the end of the day, you know what? You got to say, okay, yeah, I got whooped. And I told them I got my butt kicked a bunch of times in football and college football. Like, there's no shame in that. The shame is not fixing it or getting back up and fighting, the next day. It's like you got to go and fix it and come back better because of it, and don't let it happen again. So they'll be up for the challenge, but we've got to be better up front, without a doubt.
It's a good lesson to instill because nobody's perfect. Right?
No.
We're all humans. We make
No,
mistakes.
and that's part of it. You grow and you learn, and you know, we knew that. You know, you're going to have some of those, but just too many on Saturday.
And then conversely, when the pass rush is so fierce, how does that affect Hunter Hayes as he's trying to throw the ball downfield, go through his progressions?
Yeah, I think too. You know, the whole thing about just timing and being on schedule, and the pocket gets caved in on you, so then you don't feel like maybe you have the time that you need to the route to develop. And you know, the more that happens to you, and especially a guy who is learning and getting reps like Hunter is, you know, it makes him apprehensive to sit in there and throw the football. And so it just all the way around, it you know, the offense becomes convoluted, you know, and it's a domino effect after that.
I thought the running game looked good. Raiden Hunter had some really nice runs where he got to the second level, and then certainly the way that Benjamin Omayabu closed out the game was very impressive as well. And that is still without Demir Collins, who you're counting on at some point this year. So what have you seen from this group of running backs?
Well, I think, you know, just go back and touch on the offensive line a little bit. It's not all bad. I mean, somebody's got to be blocking for those running backs, right? And so we did some good things. We just didn't do enough good things like we did at San Diego State in the offensive line room. You know, I told Raiden Hunter this morning, he's just a really good football player. Comes to work, does what he's supposed to do, doesn't make mistakes. He's a good student. He's real, you know, and I'm glad he's on our team. And he's continued to get better each week, and he just, I'm proud of him. He's really played well. And then Benji has come on, and Benji is, you know, the guy, the explosive athlete that we thought he would be, and he's growing and filling into his role, and he's going to be a really good football player here at Idaho State.
I thought it was really impressive of your offense early on in the first half. You started driving your own 3, and that's less than ideal, but you're able to march all the way down into the red zone. Now, you talked about how penalties kind of nullified that drive, but how impressive is it for your offense to go, all right, here we are at our own 3-yard line, let's just take it one play at a time?
Well, that's where I said, like, I've been 2 games, I've never seen this many punts down at the 1-2 yard line. They tried to give him another one and then realized that it went in the end zone and moved it out to the 20. But like, man, we're catching some bad breaks, figuratively and literally, you know. And that was, again, I think that just kind of exasperates the anger, the disappointment, because we were able to go from the 3, go through them down the field, and then not convert it into points, you know. And that's where you're like, gosh dang, man, like therein lies the frustration, you know, when you know you're capable of doing that, and then we don't capitalize on the opportunity. And that's what we were, you know, had focused on all week, is finishing, and we just didn't do it. And again, that's why I sit here so frustrated. But yeah,
you talked about the punts. There was the one that was down at the 3, one that was almost at the 1. A couple of times Christian Fredrickson called fair catches, and it looked like he had room to run. Is that do you let the punt returner decide what he's going to do? Do you call that ahead of time, or does it depend on trust with the player?
No, it really depends on the call. Like, you know, we're educating him all week long. Like the one here, right? I noticed that they had said that about the punt right here. They were punting out of their own end zone, and he caught the ball, and he did have room to run, but we had a pressure on. So we're bringing a bunch of guys, and, you know, you got to be careful, because if those guys get out, you know, you have nobody there to block for you. So he fair caught that ball based on what the call was. Could he have ran it? Yes, he could have. Could he have gotten a few more yards? Yes, he could have. But again, he that particular one, and he's back there with not a tremendous amount of experience as a punt returner. And, you know, that's something that you grow and learn in that position. And so, but I'd rather him catch the ball in that situation and let our offense go to work. So I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, based on what I know from playing football on video games, when you line up to rush and try and block the punt, they have to keep their gunners in for protection, and then they're not getting downfield. So yes, it looks like you've got room to run, but that's not always the case, right?
Right. So, based on these guys were a spread punt team with 3 shields. So the gunners are going to get out and cover no matter what. It's the guards and tackles. Now, sometimes they didn't have them always out split. Like in that particular instance that we're talking about, they went, as we see it, split right. So the gunner to our right was split out, but the gunner to our left was attached on the backside. But those guys are going to get out and run, okay? But all those guards and tackles, they got to sit in there and block, try and stop the punt rush. Now, if they get a good block and then they get out and run and the timing is right between the snapper and the punter, you're going to get the punt off no problem. And then, you got guys running down there in your face that are unblocked if you're the punt returner. So, that's why we make him cognizant. He understands what the call is. Are we bringing a pressure? Are we trying to execute a return? And, at that particular point, we had a block on, and he made the right call.
Definitely. Let's keep talking special teams because I know it's a favorite subject of yours. Ian Hershey continuing to kick and punt. How do you balance his workload between making sure he gets the focus and attention to both? Because they're both very important jobs.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not going to lie, and just not having the desired depth that we need there. And then, just ultimately deciding to go with Ian because he's the most talented. You have to manage that kick load very, very consciously. You have to constantly think about it. And we have a good work day on Tuesday, and then they're off. Those guys are off on Wednesday. They roll out, they stretch, and they get their legs back. And then we do a light session with them in practice on Thursday. And then they're off again on Friday. They kick Saturday, and then they're off Sunday, Monday. So, you got to really put them on a pitch count in order to get the most production out of them.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Is it like a pitcher where you're limiting how many reps they're getting, and you went ahead and answered that? Last thing I wanted to talk about on special teams was there was a really impressive tackle on a kickoff that I wanted to highlight. Preston Halou came down like a bullet and just clobbered the Central Arkansas return man. I thought that was a really impressive play.
It was. It wasn't. It's what we've been coaching them to do, and it was good to finally see them take the coaching to the game field. And Preston did an outstanding job. Kickoff is some technique and a lot of want to, and he really wanted to make that tackle, and he bullied through that. Bully technique is what we call it. Bullied through the return, the blocker, and then made a nice tackle on the Central Arkansas returner. So. It was good to see our kickoff team, our special teams in general, performed at a much higher rate, of what we expect over the course of the season.
Definitely. And let's shift now to the defensive side of the ball, where again, 3 weeks in a row, for the most part, did a nice job of bottling things up. It just came down to a handful of plays, some missed tackles. They end up in the end zone on a couple of long plays. But what did you see there?
Yeah, I thought we played hard up front. Our D-line continues to play hard, and they had a solid performance, but they didn't play as good as they could have or should have. And we just missed too many tackles. And we have to be a better tackling team. I think thing that also hurt us is they throw the ball to the back out of the backfield, and we should tackle him with a gain of 4 or 5 yards, and he breaks the tackle, makes a guy miss, and now it's a 15-yard gain instead of a 4 or 5 yard gain. Big deal. And over the course of the game, that adds up, and obviously, what did we give? 31 points, but we really gave up, 7 was the offense giving up on the sack on Hunter. So, when you really talk about it, we give up 24 points. The defense gave us a chance to win. We've got to capitalize the opportunities in the red zone like we talked about, and we just didn't do that.
Yeah, last night on the defense, and then we'll take a break and come back and preview the game upcoming. But another defensive play late in the game, Central Arkansas gets another big play, and Josh Alford tracks him all the way downfield. I mean, I thought, this guy's going to house it, and Alford makes the tackle inside the 5, never gave up on the play, came from the opposite side to make that tackle. And I know he's a leader of this team. What does that say about his ability to not give up, even though you guys are losing, it's late in the game, but to still give that effort?
Well, it says everything. And as I told him, when he came off the field, it was the play of the game, in my opinion, just because of sheer effort. But when he came off the field, I've been hard on critical of Josh because I didn't think he'd played up to his potential in the first 2 games, and he had his best game of the season so far on Saturday, and I told him when he came off, continue to play like that. That has to become the norm, and we'll win championships here. That is a tremendous play by a tremendous young man. We've got to continue to play like that, but that was awesome.
Definitely. So, an 0-3 start to the year, but now we kind of hit the reset button because we're going to get into Big Sky Conference play, and we'll talk about the Bengals' first opponent, Northern Colorado, right after this break. It's ROAR'n With the Bengals on ISUBengals.com. Welcome back to ROAR'n With the Bengals on ISUBengals.com. Brandon Baney with ISU head football coach Charlie Ragle. All right, we're hitting the reset button, right? Everybody's 0-0. Big Sky Conference play starts, and second lease on life here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what I was saying earlier. I mean, nobody wants to be 0-3. It's a miserable feeling. I'm miserable right now. But we're going into Big Sky play. Everybody is, like you said, it's 0-0. And we got to take everything one day at a time, one game at a time. But I haven't changed my opinion or how I feel. If we play like we're capable of and what we showed at San Diego State and clean up a couple things, we have a chance to compete and win in every game that we play in the Big Sky. It's much easier said than done, as we know, but we certainly have that capability. We just got to get the kids to play like that and play like that on a more consistent level.
Definitely. Coach Ragle says he's miserable, but and you can't see this, but he's doing that Jack Nicholson thing where he's smiling, and I don't know if I should be panicked or afraid or.
I could be doing a lot worse.
I just got to give you a hard time occasionally, Coach. Okay, let's talk about you're back on the road again. Here we are. We had a nice home game, and all of a sudden you're back out on the road. But at least you've done it a couple of times.
Yeah, Road Warriors. 3 out of the first 4 games on the road. That's tough. Going to Northern Colorado and, again, a team that, in their own right has had their own issues. And, I told the guys, get ready because we're going to be everybody's homecoming, and I believe it's homecoming in Greeley. And, all that stuff doesn't matter. It's about how can the Bengals come out and perform at a high level. If we do that, we'll win the game on Saturday. If we execute, we don't have the stupid penalties and self-inflicted wounds, and we win the turnover battle, we'll win the game. If we don't, we won't, and it'll be a miserable flight home.
Definitely. Something you brought up at your weekly press conference that stood out to me was, sometimes fans will think, well, how come this guy isn't playing, or how come this guy isn't? There's no secret weapon that you've got hiding in the closet that's going to come out and make an impact, right? You told your guys what? Nobody's coming to save you.
Nobody's coming to save us. We are who we are. We have to save ourselves. We have to get the stuff done as a team. And so, that's what makes football a special sport. Everybody thinks that, that they have an opinion, and that's great, and they're an expert at it. And again, I've been doing this long enough, that doesn't bother me. That's why it's, the most popular sport in the United States, because people love it. So I'm all right with that. But, if we had a better player, I promise you, we'd put him in. Trust me. I think Demir Collins is really going to help us when we get back. I think he's a very special running back. But, when you break your foot, and you're in a boot for, 4.5, 5 weeks, it takes time to get back out, get the explosion back. And he's gaining it back. And he's going to be fun for the ISU fans to watch. And I think they're going to be really excited about him. But he's not quite there yet. And but he's getting close, and maybe he is this week. We'll see. And Chester Gifford's another one that we're close on too, a big defensive end that's only going to add more size and speed to our defensive line, and he's getting real close to playing as well. So we're excited about getting both those guys back. But outside of those two guys, there are no magic bullets.
Now, that being said, the potential is there with the guys you've got. I mean, and this is probably, I'm guessing, what makes it so frustrating is you've seen that potential in practice, and it just hasn't always transferred over to the games.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I go back to the week, previous week at San Diego State, like how the effort and where that game was at, and if we could have just caught those two passes. We dropped one, and we're 3 or 4 inches away from Freddie's foot being down, and that game's 21-21 with 4 minutes left to go in the third quarter. So when you see your guys do that, and you know that they're capable of doing that, that's what you expect. And they didn't meet the expectation Saturday here at Holt.
Yeah, and that's also the burden for you and your assistants as a coaching staff is you guys have to put the players in the best position to succeed, knowing what their strengths and weaknesses are. Is that something you're constantly looking at?
Yeah, and it's like I told the staff today, we have to, think outside the box, and just because, this is our comfort zone, and as a coach and we're comfortable doing this, is it what gives us the best chance to win? And we just have to be as equally constructive and criticism that we give the players. We have to apply that and more to ourselves, and just to make sure that we're doing everything. And I'm not saying we're not. I'm just you're scrapping and clawing, doing everything you can to find that victory, and we just got to do everything we can to make sure we're giving ourselves the best chance to win.
And there's so many new faces, right? Over half the roster turned over, and even with the addition, when you guys came in the wintertime, there was a lot of new guys that came in after that. So there's a lot of new faces. They're trying to play together. At what point do you say maybe we need to simplify things a little bit just so these guys can get comfortable playing with each other and it's not too much?
Yeah, I think, what do we do well? I think that's what you got to focus on, and I think that's kind of what and my coaches have been doing that, and they know that. It's just what gives us the best chance to win, regardless of what it is, who it is, whoever and whatever we need to do to give ourselves the best chance to win. We've got to do that. Sounds pretty simple. It's obviously not, and but doesn't mean we're not doing that. Is there just a better way? And that's what we're trying to find right now.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with that theme of, know who you are, right?
Yep.
We are who we are, and we just have to embrace that. Northern Colorado, I know it's kind of early in the week in terms of game prep, but what have you seen from the Battling Bears so far?
Yeah, I think, that, they, first thing I do is I pop on and watch the special teams. One, I'm a special teams guy, and two, it gives me a greater idea of who they are as a overall team. If this guy's playing on special teams, he's pretty good. Well, guess what? He's probably pretty good on offense or defense. And if he's not, but he's good on special teams, that means they probably got somebody better playing at that position. So then you're going like, oof, this, and their special teams and the guys they have are solid, and so that this is going to be a team that, has struggled some in Big Sky play, but, they're still a formidable opponent that's, similar to Central Arkansas. If we don't go out and execute and do the things that we're supposed to do, we'll get beat. They've got some good skill guys. They got, very solid running back. He does some stuff with them in the return game. Defensively, they're 3-4 even. They do a lot, just as they're going to throw at you a bunch of different fronts. Got two pretty good linebackers, play with 5 DBs a good amount. So they're a good football team, and they just got their first victory on Saturday, and they're looking to make it, 2 in a row here against the Bengals on homecoming, and we've got to go in there and play our very best game of the season, and if we do that, we'll win.
Yeah, they just got to win over Lamar 20-14 in a game where Lamar's driving to possibly send the game to overtime. They get an interception at the end to win it. And so we always talk about, well, if this had happened or coulda, woulda, shouldas, and that's a team that's actually experienced that in a positive way and gotten that win. How much more dangerous does that make them?
Yeah, I don't know if it does. I just think, at the end of the day, they made a play, and they got to win. And I do think, though, with winning comes confidence. And again, they're looking at this as when they put this schedule together, there's a reason why they put us as homecoming. Whether people want to acknowledge that or not, you want to try and win your homecoming. And so, again, though, it doesn't really matter what they do or what they say. It's always and always will be about the Bengals and our performance, how we execute. We'll get good enough players. We have good enough players now. We'll continue to get, better players and recruit at a high level. And then it's about us executing. We'll have enough talent. My point is we'll have enough talent on the field to win games if we execute at a high level. If we won't, it doesn't matter how talented we are, we're probably not going to win.
Yeah, we're on the first 10th of what's going to be a very long journey, right? And so that's a good thing to keep in mind as well, is that very rarely does a new coach come in and everything gets flipped immediately overnight.
No, I know people want that. We all want that. Fans, the players, the coaches. Nobody wants it more than those three that I just mentioned. But, I gave a presentation, to the Idaho State Transportation Board. They rotate their yearly conference throughout the state of Idaho, and this was their quadrant that they were in this year. So they asked if I would come and speak to them, and this was during football camp. And we talked about, the value. My presentation was the value of success and how do you go about achieving it. And, one of the things in my presentation is simply about nobody wants to hear this. There is no substitute for hard work and time. And I had a little pyramid reference of John Wooden. Everybody loves John Wooden, the history of John Wooden. John Wooden's one of the best basketball coaches to ever, put a set of sneakers on or grab a whistle. That's what most people will tell you. But do most people know that John Wooden didn't win his first national championship until his, I think, either 17th or 18th season?
Yeah.
By today's standards, they would have had 5 more coaches in there in that time. And so, again, I'm not shying away from what I said. We're going to come out and we expect to win every single freaking game we play. But we've got to continue to grow and get better and build the program.
Well, we're definitely seeing the signs of improvement week to week. Northern Colorado is the team on the docket this week. They're led by a pair of Davids. David Hogue at linebacker on the Buck Buchanan watch list. David Afari, their running back. He's really good. I guess you guys just got to make sure you're not Goliath this week. Watch out for that slingshot.
That's it. That's exactly right. We'll be fine. If we execute and do what we're supposed to do, we'll be just fine. But, you get them on the shows and you do the interviews and stuff, and it sounds redundant, a broken record, whatever you want to call it, but it's the truth. We do the little things right and we execute, we'll win the football game. If we don't, we won't.
All right, well, Coach Ragle, head coach of the Idaho State University football team, as always, thanks for joining us. Good luck on Saturday down in Greeley.
All right, Brandon, thanks for having me, and go Bengals, roar.
All right, this has been ROAR'n With the Bengals. For Coach Ragle, I'm Brandon Baney. We'll see you next time on isubengals.com.